Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us. This is from the CBN. I am Misi Dada. The Central Bank of Nigeria, in line with its developmental function, established the Anchor Borrowers Program, ABP. The program was launched to create a linkage between anchor companies involved in processing and smallholder farmers of the required key agricultural commodities. The program thrust of the ABP is provision of farm inputs in kind and cash for farm labor to smallholder farmers to boost production of these commodities, stabilize input supply to agro-processors, and address the country's negative balance of payments in food. Today on the program, we have for you the report of another success story of the Anchor Borrowers program from Gombe State, as well as a report on the finals of the CBN Junior Tennis Tournament, plus our exclusive interview with a seasoned asset manager on raising financially aware children who will grow up to become financially resilient adults making sound decisions. Stay with us. In line with the drive towards self-sufficiency in food production in the country, Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, and other dignitaries were in Gombe State last Thursday for the unveiling of another set of rice pyramids. The CBN and the Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria, RIFAN, have an ambitious two-cycle production in the dry season to trigger a continuous drop in the price of rice. We have more in this report. The rice pyramids on display at this occasion are the third of its kind in as many months. They were first seen in Niger State, then Kebbi State, and now at the flag-off of the 2021 dry season rice cultivation and 2020 wet season harvest aggregation and sale of rice paddy to millers under the CBN RIFAN Anchor Borrowers program in Gombe State. The Anchor Borrowers program, an agricultural financing initiative of the Central Bank of Nigeria, launched by President Muhammadu Buhari in November 2015, has become a game changer. These rice pyramids are in part a testament to the success of the program, which has benefited about 3 million farmers cultivating close to 4 million hectares of land across 21 commodities in the country. President Buhari, represented here by the governor of Kebbi State, who is also the vice chairman, National Food Security Council, Abubakar Bagudu, said, the Rice Festival, which indicates the return of food sufficiency in the country, will graduate from a regional affair to a grassroots event in the next 2 years.
What we see today is a product of clear-sighted policy by Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari, and careful, diligent execution by institutions of state, in particular the Central Bank of Nigeria. What the Central Bank of Nigeria did in the last 5 years, the risks that the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, took personally, the creativity, the visibility, the departure from what is known about central bank governors, non-visible, conservative, and the patriotism and the nationalism he exhibited, and mobilized the central bank and other institutions to respond to, is the single most important contributory factor to what we are seeing here today.
Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, remarked that it is heartwarming to see efforts towards attaining self-sufficiency in food production turn into a movement where success in agricultural development is being celebrated from one state to another.
We have continued to transform our learning experiences to improve efficiency in the execution of this program. We have added several layers of control to improve on transparency and accountability among all stakeholders. And what you are witnessing today is a demonstration of our growth and a strong indication of the enormous potential in the country's agricultural space. It is important to note that we are still a far cry from attaining perfection, but the growth processes reaffirm our belief in the potential inherent in our agricultural sector and our people, and we must harness them in order to diversify the Nigerian economy.
Emefiele said the bank will deepen engagement with stakeholders to leverage on technology, mechanization, and improved agronomy practices.
The CBN is also positioned to ensure the integration of our farmers into the government's economic sustainability program, aimed at providing 5 million homes with electricity using solar energy. Under this program, every farmer under our Anchor Borers program is eligible to get a solar home system that will provide electricity to power their essential home appliances. Repayment of the electricity consumed under this solar home system being provided to our farmers under our Anchor Borers program can be paid using the produce from the farm, just like today.
Governor of Gombe State, Mohamedou Yahya, recalled that in January, management of the Apex Bank, together with the National Cotton Association, were also in the state to kickstart the aggregation process of cotton farmers who equally paid the facilities they took in kind to signal the return of cotton production.
We are notably recorded to be producing a high quantity of soya beans, high quantity of sesame seeds, high quantity of sorghum, and virtually all the commodities. Our state is 80% agrarian, with 80% of our people committed to farming virtually at the subsistence level. But the support we got from the central bank provided the encouragement needed for us to produce, and that is why we have enough to show, and we are really very proud and appreciative of this good gesture from the Central Bank of Nigeria.
With farmers in Ekiti State and the Federal Capital Territory gearing up for a similar display, more commodity pyramids will soon be dotting Nigeria's skyline. Tennis fans were treated to exciting finals inside the Lord Rumens Center Court of the Lagos Lawn Tennis Club as the CBN Junior Tennis Championship ended on Saturday. CBN Governor Mr. Godwin Emefiele urged parents to introduce the children to tennis while they are still young and take advantage of the opportunity offered by the platform. Here's the report.
The 16th edition of the annual CBN Junior Tennis Tournament, organized by the Central Bank of Nigeria in collaboration with the International Tennis Academy, which stepped off on the 22nd of March, culminated in the finals here at the Lagos Lawn Tennis Club, Onikon. The tournament, set up as a grooming ground for discovery of teenage talent and the nurturing of potential tennis champions at this edition, featured players from different parts of the country competing in the boys and the girls 16s, 14s, and 12 age groups, motivated to work hard following the achievements of their mates at the CBN Senior Tennis Open Championship in Abuja last November. Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, represented at this event by the Acting Director, Corporate Communication Department, Mr. Osita Nwanesobi, in his closing remarks, reiterated the bank's commitment to youth empowerment.
CBN remains passionate about the youth of this country and continues to seek ways to empower and impact on the lives of its still young population. The role of sports in youth development anywhere in the world cannot be overemphasized. Sports provide an avenue to engage young people positively and by so doing curb delinquency. Furthermore, sports is a platform to showcase raw talents in young people, leading to recognition and social future advancement.
Winners of the 16 and under girls category, Destiny Okinsanye, was full of appreciation to the organizers of the tournament for the opportunity, sharing her dream of becoming an international tennis icon.
I feel so happy because after playing CBN for like 3 years now, and this is the first time I'm getting to the final and I won, I'm just so happy. I'm so happy. I want to give glory to God Almighty. I have plans of going to ITF competition inside and outside the country. So I have a lot of plans. I'm not just playing national competition. I'm going out to play international competition also, ITF competition.
Shehu Ogunshakin, who won in both the 14th and the 16th boys category, also emerged as the most improved player of the tournament, beating 17 other players to clinch the trophies.
Throughout the pandemic, I've been training so hard to achieve my goals, and for God so good, I get it. I aspire to some players like Rafael Nadal, Babalola, that is one of our Nigerian players here. My future plan is to train harder and become the world superstar.
Runners-up in all the boys and girls age groups also went home with various prizes, while champions in the 16 categories look forward to taking part in the CBN Senior Tennis Open Tournament later in the year.
Thanks for staying tuned. Throughout last week, the world celebrated the Global Money Week, an annual global awareness-raising campaign on the importance of ensuring that young people from an early age are financially aware and are gradually acquiring the knowledge, skills, and behaviors necessary to make sound financial decisions and ultimately achieve financial resilience. In commemoration, the CBN offered an opportunity for Nigerians aged 18 to 35 years to showcase their talents, artworks, and skills in the social media challenge and win exciting prizes. So, to deepen the discussion on money and encourage wealth creation among young people, we spoke during the week with the Managing Director, Carry Asset Management Limited, Mr. Johnson Chukwu.
Now, money doesn't grow on trees. That is probably all the financial education some children and even young people get from their parents. What would you tell an 8-year-old about money as different from what you would tell an 18-year-old?
One of the things I teach my children, which is basically right from very young age, from the age of 4, is that they need to understand what you call deferred gratification. Deferred gratification is at the core or the heart of creating wealth. That means you need to postpone your today's consumption to a future date and save what you have today and then live on the proceeds or the income from your investment. You see, the challenge we have is that when we teach people, and like you said, the money doesn't grow on trees, we don't tell them how to create wealth. And for me, financial knowledge or knowledge of personal financial management is a core to anybody's independence, because if you are not financially independent, you are not really independent. So for you to be financially independent, you must understand basic personal financial management. How do I save? How do I invest? And the core of saving is what I call deferred gratification. That means you must delay your consumption to a future date. The problem is that most people, they are interested in consuming today and they think they're living a good life. And basically, if you continue to consume all your income today, you will not save anything in the future. And the way God created mankind is that we don't have the same strength all through our lifespan. If you have to live to old age, at some point, your physical strength will ebb. And at that point, you have to live on your savings or your investment. The key thing is that you must know.
In inculcating,
you must know.
Okay.
Yeah, you must know that you cannot consume everything you earn. That's the first principle. Second principle is that you must have multiple income streams. One of which is that for you to become financially independent, all your income must not come from your sweat. Some of them must come from your investment, so that it is not a ratio of your effort that is your income. So you must have some income that is coming from investment. And for you to ever have investment, you must have adhered to the first principle, which is you must not consume everything you earn.
All right.
Then you now move on to the next and next and next.
All right. The principles you are giving us are fine for adults, but I want us to talk about inculcating savings culture in children. You mentioned that your children from the age of 4, you start teaching them delayed gratification. So how does one inculcate savings culture in children? In the first place, should children be encouraged to save? And if they should be encouraged to save, how do you inculcate that savings culture? And then how will that be different, from when you now start dealing with teenagers, when they grow up to be 16, 18, how will the teachings be different?
Okay, starting from a very young age, one of the first things I did for my kids, all my kids, I bought them a piggy bank. So their grandmother comes, the grandmother is going back to the east, she gives them money, and then they keep their money in their piggy bank. And then somebody, a family friend comes, you give them money, they keep it in a piggy bank. They lose their tooth, and then you give them a tooth fairy, they put in their piggy bank. So, and that culture, so once in a while, they go and open their piggy bank and start counting their money. So you begin to learn to identify a very young age. My kids start identifying 50 naira note, 100 naira note, 200 naira note, and then they begin to sum up their money. And then they are happy that their wealth is building up, because I have to inculcate those values at a very young age. You can imagine when they are losing their teeth, and then you are paying them for tooth fairy, and they are putting the money in a piggy bank. So all of them have their piggy bank. And as the piggy bank grows, we open savings account for them. We transfer those monies and go and pay into their account. And they know that they have an account. And then we begin to buy stock for them. And they know they have stock. So sometimes when we are having discussion, they'll say, Daddy, but you said you bought me this stock. I said, yes. Okay, what is the value? So the key thing, so over time they understand about savings, investment, and returns. So if you give them money, the little one will say, okay, let's go and buy candy. No, the other one says, okay, I'm going to keep my own in my piggy bag. So they even know about hiring of labor and stuff like that. So the key thing is start early, and it's very key. You must make sure that they know about deferred gratification, which is very key, because the key thing that happens that the first instant the child gets is that you give them money and they want to go and buy candies. So you must tell them that, you don't buy the candy, keep it in your piggy bag. Then eventually, sometimes you also need to create that excitement for them. Sometimes when they get income from those things, you say, okay, look, take this 15 naira and go and buy candy, go and buy something. You tell them you're going to go shopping, but you're going to spend your money. So you observe that the reluctance at which they want to spend their money. And like I said, once you do this at a very infancy stage, you find out it stays with them all through their life. And that's, for me as a father, that's one of the things I'm succeeded in doing, passing on to my children.
All right.
And now, some of the principles
go ahead, please.
Some of the principles I also tell children is that don't ever spend your future income on consumption. When people come to me and say, look, come and take personal credit, come and take consumer credit. I said, look, I do not borrow for consumption. If I can't afford it, I will not consume it. That's very key, because once you start living a life where you borrow, you consume your income before you earn them, you are tending towards poverty, because you will never have anything to save. And the day the income stops, because it does stop, at sometimes you realize you go flat. And then the next day you are going cap in hand to your neighbor or your friend and asking for some helpings.
Now, for those who have inculcated savings culture in their children, let's assume now that the children are grown up. I mean, like maybe they are 19, 20, 21. At what point do you allow them to take charge of what you have saved, the account you have opened for them, and what they have saved up over the years? At what point do you give them the power to take charge of their savings and their investments?
Well, if you have taken a child through these processes at a very young age, by the time they get to 18, they are well formed. So you begin, at that point, you're already having discussions at some level of maturity. Yeah, actually, they should know about investment instruments at that point. They know what kind of return to get from the same investment, because most of the children at 18 are already in the university. If they're not in the university, they're secondary school graduates. So they understand basic economics. So that unless you miss it at the very early age, but at that point, you give them access to their to manage their funds, and you now act demand for returns. Like what I've done, one of the things I have done in my family, each of my children is accountable. If, for instance, like take for instance, some of the one in secondary school, like on holidays, he draws up a timetable of what he needs to read during the holiday period. And when I come back, he has to give account of how many hours was spent on each of those subjects. That's the level of accountability you need to impose on the children when it comes to financial management. So at the point you give them access to their resources you have saved for them, and they have also saved for themselves, they need to begin to tell you, Daddy, I invested this, Mommy, I invested this, and this is the kind of return. And when they are losing money, they should feel the pain that they're losing money. And when they go shopping, you make sure that you don't give them a blank check. Let them shop from a limited budget, so that they will know how to limit their consumption. So if you imbibe these cultures, like I said, these are things that you must imbibe at a very young age. The Bible says that train a child the way you want him or her to be, and when he grows up, he will not depart from that. And by the time they are 18, 19, they are undergraduates, they already have financial discipline. They already have the concept of saving. They already have the concept of deferred gratification. They are not just ready to go on a spending binge and then spend every money at their disposal, irrespective of what your parents are.
Okay, let's move on to investments now. We have given children solid foundation and inculcated in them savings culture. They have enough now to invest. Not everyone is an asset manager. So tell us what investment options are available to young people who have developed savings culture. It is now time to invest. What should they do about with their money?
Okay, the first thing is that they should start by keeping their money in savings accounts. As the money is growing, they should also know there's what they call fixed deposit. So at that point, they can walk up to the bank where they have the account and say, I want to see the manager, I want to see the head of operations, I want to see the customer care officer. And then they say, I have 20,000 naira, I want to put it in fixed deposit. I want 50,000 naira, I want to fix it in fixed deposit. I want to fix it for 90 days or 60 days or 180 days. So they start from that. So they start from what they understand. And good thing today is that technology has made knowledge prevalent, available everywhere. So you can access information on what investment instruments. So you start from savings to fixed deposit. From fixed deposit, you're asking, okay, you can even go to your banker and say, like, what else can I invest in? They can tell you, okay, there's what they call commercial papers, which are instruments issued by corporate organizations. They give you returns higher than the fixed deposit. So you can look at that. And then you can also move you to, okay, there are also federal government treasury bills. There's federal government savings bond, and on until you get to the point where you're investing in bonds. And as you are maturing, as your resources are growing, you begin to set up for young entrepreneurs, young enterprising young people. They are thinking of setting up their business. They are talking to their friends, saying, let's set up this business, because that's what the hallmarks you should expect from your children if you're enterprising. So they want to bring their friends together and say, look, Daddy, me and I and my friends, we want to start a business. And then you look at those businesses, you provide them mentorship, you provide them guidance, you give them a lifting hand. And then from that point, at that point, they're beginning entrepreneurs, they want to do business. But in case they don't want to go to do that and they want to be workers, they want to be civil servants, they want to be public workers, then they must also continue to look at what other investment instruments. I have mentioned the issue of bonds, treasury bills. Then they begin to buy shares, and they'll be asking what kind of shares are good for me to invest in. So these are the instruments, and you should also at some point encourage them to even buy land. They can buy land in a remote area where they buy land is too cheap, but development approaches that area, the value of the land will keep increasing. So, but the key thing is that the children must know these things, but they must start from rule number one, deferred gratification.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you, Mr. Johnson Chukwume. Thanks for your time.
My pleasure, as usual.
Hope that will encourage more adults to teach the children basic financial principles of savings and investments for a better and wealthier nation. It's a wrap on today's package from the CBN. Remember to log on to the website of the Central Bank of Nigeria, www.cbn.gov.ng, to find out more about the people-oriented initiatives of the Apex Bank, such as the targeted credit facility and other economic interventions that are still ongoing. Call the CBN contact center using the phone line below for your valid complaints. Remember, local call rates may apply. Send in your comments and contributions to the email address fromthecbn@gmail.com and follow us on the social media for updates and uploaded episodes of the program. I'm William Dada. Stay safe and bye.